All right. Hello and welcome, everyone. I am so glad that you are here today, and I am so glad to be here with you today. Oh, gosh, it is a gorgeous autumn. And I think this time it's a for real autumn. I don't think we're getting any more summer anymore. And, it's only the end of October. So that's on schedule or something, isn't it? I, I don't know. Anyway, let's see. Today's date is October 27, 2023. And my name is Miri Pizann. I am the host here at the League of Gluten Free Adventurers. I am so glad that you are here with us today. And who am I? Let's see. I've been gluten free for about a decade at this point. And, I remember how difficult it was to go gluten free back at the beginning of my gluten free adventure, and how lonely I felt, how disconnected I felt from the rest of the world. And the reason that I'm here is because it doesn't have to be that way. And if you are feeling disconnected, if you are feeling lonely, if you are feeling misunderstood, we have a community here for you so that you can be among other people who get it. And B, you can still have a beautiful and fulfilling life while being safely gluten free. Like, these do not have to be one or the other. Okay. And so I just want to help people find themselves and make that leap and get to the other side. So that's what we're here for. Okay. Let me see. Um, Going through my notes. Okay. So the weekly topic: what assumptions you can and cannot make at a fast food restaurant. This week, within the League of Gluten Free Adventurers, that's what we've been talking about. Fast food restaurants, are there options available? Yes, there are. How safe are they? So, what are some assumptions that you cannot make? Let's start with the no-nos. You cannot assume that French fries are gluten-free. Now, again, this is going to depend on whether or not you are sensitive to cross contact, and whether or not the restaurant is conscientious of these sorts of things. And here's what I mean. First of all, French fries usually don't contain gluten on their own. McDonald's French fries in the US absolutely do. They put wheat flour in the coating that they put on the fry. So those ones are out. Sorry about it. A lot of other places, however, it's just potatoes and oil. And so it shouldn't matter. However, the French fries are cooked in that fryer. And if they cook anything else that has gluten in the same fryer, so this could be, oh gosh, anything, onion rings or taquitos, or I mean, chicken nuggets, anything else that might have a wheat coating, if it goes into that oil in the same oil as the fries are going, the gluten is going to get mixed into the oil coming from the other items coating, and it will get on your fries. So the question is, how sensitive are you? For example, I am non-celiac gluten sensitive, but I've got it pretty strong. So I cannot eat food that comes from a mixed fryer. My father was also gluten-free before he passed away, and the reason that he was gluten-free was because it inflamed his arthritis. Gluten inflamed him. And so, but he could still eat like a piece of bread every day or every other day, and it wouldn't really flare him up. But if he had two pieces of bread, then it would cause problems. So a little bit of extra gluten on his fries, he didn't care. It wasn't a problem. I'm not sure about the McDonald's fries, if that would have caused a problem, but so you have to know what your tolerance level is. But in general, unless they have a dedicated fryer, unless they have a dedicated fryer, French fries in general are not gluten-free, even though they totally should be. So that. Another thing that you cannot assume, that salads are safe. And this is a conversation that also came up when we were talking about fast food. Also McDonald's. We think, oh, McDonald's, no problem. Like we'll just get a salad and it'll be fine. There really isn't anything safe to eat at most McDonald's in the US. And again, this is going to depend location to location and country to country. But salads in the US, McDonald's, not safe. It's in the dressing, it's in the croutons, it's just all over the salad. Not safe. Don't get it. Okay. So that's another question that you need to be asking. Is the salad dressing gluten-free? And we would think, salad dressing, are you serious? Yes, because of soy sauce or because of any other marinade that they might be putting in there. So you absolutely have to be checking on that also. Another one that came up in the discussion this week was ice cream. Now, I have known for a long time that there are places that will mix flour into their ice cream custard to make it thicker. This is not a traditional way to make ice cream, but it is something that companies sometimes do to cut corners. So that, and I'm not talking about like, cookies and cream, which in general we would avoid unless it's coming from like a company that says it's gluten free, but like I'm talking about vanilla ice cream with nothing in it but vanilla flavoring. It can still have gluten in it. Now, in addition, I've, again, during our discussion this week, one of the things that one of our members brought up was, and that was actually Jane. So shout out to Jane, because she's been on this for a long time. But one of the things that Jane brought up was that occasionally what you will find in fast food restaurants is that if they break the cones, if the employees break the cones, they get in trouble from their managers. And so sometimes they throw it into the ice cream machine to hide the fact that the cones are broken. But guess what? That contaminates, that gives you cross contact for all of the ice cream that is in there and will be in there for quite some time until the gluten kind of like gets worked out of the system. So yeah, I would be really, really cautious about getting ice cream from fast food places, especially soft serve. And even if you go to a place like Ben and Jerry's or something like that, those scoopers, they scoop the ice cream, they put it in the bowl or cup or cone or whatever, and then they put it into something like a dish of water to clean the flavors off. And if it's, I don't know if it's heated or not, but it might make it easier to scoop. But that water, if they're scooping cookies and cream ice cream or chocolate chip cookie dough or whatever, like anything that's got the gluten in there, then that water that the scoopers are in is going to get cross contact also. So at a place like Ben and Jerry's, you can ask them to see their list of gluten-free ice creams. You can ask them to use a separate scoop, like a fresh one that's just been cleaned. And you can also ask them to open a new tub so that nothing's been dripped over, nothing's been swiped in there. Like you can do that. But be very careful with ice cream. There's a lot of landmines with that one. Next, cannot assume is that the buns are toasted separately. You got to make sure these are all these things. So this is like hot dogs, hamburgers, chicken sandwiches, anything like that. If there is a grill, are the buns toasted on the same grill as the meat? Because if they are, what's to keep the meat from picking up cross contact from the grill, right? And, you know, again, this is something where you have to be clear on what your sensitivity level is. This would not have bothered my dad. It would definitely cause problems for me. So you just have to kind of be aware. Now, one of the big restaurants that came up over and over again in our discussion this week was Five Guys, because they do have a dedicated French fry fryer. The only ingredients that go into their fryer are oil and potato. That's it. And they have a separate space for the buns and for the meat and for the hot dogs and I think even the vegetables, but it's all separate and clearly delineated. And again, you're going to need to check location to location, but this has been the standard that I have seen on both sides of the US. You know, because I've been to Five Guys out where nobody has heard of gluten, and I've been to Five Guys where lots of people are aware of it, and they've pretty much had the same standards in both areas. So that is a place that I kind of do trust, and I'm very happy to see if I'm in a gluten-free food desert, right? So yeah, definitely have them check and make sure where the buns are being toasted, if it's in the same area as the meat or if it's on a separate grill. Things that you can assume at a fast food restaurant. You can assume that servers don't know what gluten is or how to prevent it. I recently went to a mod pizza, which is one of those build your own pizza places. And like, I've been to a bunch of those, both in Los Angeles and up here in Oregon, like all up and down the coast. And a bunch of now I've been to other brands. I think I've been to Rev Pizza and Z Pizza. And in those ones, I say I have a gluten allergy, and they will take the gluten-free dough, they put it on a separate pan, they change their gloves. They're very, very careful. They use sauce from the back instead of scooping it out from the sauce in front of everybody, so that there is no chance of cross contact with them. And then when they put it in, they actually put a separate plate into the pizza oven, and they get that nice and hot. And when my pizza has been built, they'll put it onto the separate plate and put that in the oven, so that my pizza never touches the bottom of the oven floor where all the other pizzas have been sitting, where all the wheat-based ones are, right? There's no cross contact at any point. And believe me, I like the first like 10 times that I went to any of these places, I'm watching them like in hawk, and I'm like, but they were awesome, right? So this time I went to it was called Mod Pizza. It was actually really close to my house, and I was like, hey, let's go let's go do this, it'll be great. Walked in there, I said, do you have gluten free? They said yes. I said, and do you use a plate to separate my pizza, my gluten-free pizza, from the bottom of the oven? And they're like, oh no, it's really hot in there, and so it just burns everything up. And I was like, that's not how this works. You can't just, it's not going to burn away like that. And you cannot guarantee that there won't be cross contact at any point in the situation. There was no plate separating them. There was nothing, you know. And so my husband and I, we were like, okay, thank you for telling me. Thank you very much. And we left, and we did not get pizza that day because they do not have safe practices. So you cannot assume that, even if they say they have gluten-free options, you cannot assume that they know what that means. Okay. You can assume it is okay to ask anybody who is serving you or preparing your food to change their gloves when working with your food. That is not rude. That is a completely reasonable request. Okay. And anybody who gives you bother about that, you do not want to eat there. Just say thank you very much, turn around and go. Okay. It is okay to ask them to change their gloves. And number 3, you can assume that mistakes will be made when things are busy. Okay. If you're going to go to one of these places, you're going to want to go when it's quieter. You don't want to go during the lunch rush, go before or go after. Because they're going to be busy. They're just trying to get everything out as fast as they can. And our needs require extra attention. They just do. You know this, I know this, and the restaurants know this, but they don't have time during a lunch or dinner rush or a breakfast rush. Okay. So make sure that you're going at off hours so that they can actually dedicate the time that is necessary to feed you safely so that you can eat safely and so that they don't make mistakes. And does that mean that nobody will ever make mistakes at 3 p.m? No, it just minimizes. Okay. There's always, life is full of risk, right? And so we need to know that, yeah, occasionally things are going to happen because humans are going to human. And that's just how things are, right? So those are my can and cannot assumes, right? You can assume that servers don't know what gluten is or how to prevent it. You can assume that you can ask them to change their gloves. That is okay. You can assume that mistakes are easier when the restaurant is busy. You cannot assume that French fries are safe. You cannot assume that salads are safe. You cannot assume that ice cream is safe. And you cannot assume that even gluten-free buns are safe, depending on where they're being prepared. Okay. So that is what I've got. That is the part that I have prepared for you today. So we're going to go into our Q&A at this point. And I don't see any questions in the comments right now. That's totally cool. I understand. But I did get one question from Melissa earlier. She was asking, how do I find gluten-free noodles that taste good? Melissa, that is a fabulous question, and I would love to answer that for you. Everyone has different tastes and preferences when it comes to what they're looking for, okay? And so it can be very difficult to answer that question objectively. So all I can do is answer that subjectively, because I can tell you what I like. The other thing to keep in mind is that if you don't tell us where in the world you are, it can be very difficult, because I'm going to tell you what I know about the foods that I have found on the West Coast. But I don't even go to every grocery store, like I try to check things out and see what's available. But I still, I'm not going to go to every grocery store. And so what's available to you, what's in your area, what grocery stores or health food stores are available to you, odds are good that that's going to be different than what's available to me. And so the brands are going to be different. So, if you say like, I'm in, Florida, I'm in Maine, I'm in Ohio, I'm in Wyoming, I'm in Oregon, it's a lot easier to answer that question, because then we can like say, hey, who else is in Ohio? Who else is in Mississippi? Who else is, in Arizona? And you're going to get like better answers. So that's just to frame it for you, so that when you're asking these questions, you can get like, because not every brand is national. There are local brands. And if you're not saying I'm in this area, you might be missing out on something really fantastic, because people generally don't recommend local brands in an international area unless they happen to know you're in that area too. So I just want to throw that out there as something to keep in mind. Now, personal brands, my personal favorites for pasta. My absolute favorite is Tingyada brown rice pasta. I love it. I think it's got a great bite. It's easy to cook. And it's also like, my family has issues with diabetes. And so I am working on lowering the glucose index. Is that what it is? The GI index? Anyway, so I don't tend to do the brown rice pasta, because It can spike blood sugar. So when I am preparing for my family, I frequently buy Banza pasta, which is made out of chickpeas. So it's got a higher protein level in it. So that one is actually my favorite. Banza, the chickpea one. It's in the bright orange box, and they've got a lot of different shapes, and they've got and I really like it. It's good. And this is what my family is used to at this point, because that's what I feed them. And if they want something different, they are free to make it themselves, because this is what I'm making. So yeah, so I like the Banza. I have seen that Delio, I don't know how you pronounce it, but I mean, like most of the major pasta food manufacturers offer a gluten-free option at this point. And I mean, like, you can get them made out of anything at this point. So depending on what your taste is and whether you're looking for like the texture versus the flavor versus this or that, you can get them made out of corn, buckwheat, lentils, rice, all kinds of stuff, chickpeas. So you can it really comes down to what's your preference and what is it that you're looking for. Are you looking for something that's higher in protein, because you're going to get different responses than if you're just looking for, I want really good texture. The other thing that I'm going to say about pasta really quick, and I think this is super important, is to remember that when you are cooking pasta, gluten-free pasta, it's not the same chemistry as pasta made from wheat. Okay. So, number one, I have not yet met a gluten-free pasta that does not foam like crazy when you're boiling it. Like, whoa. So I do throw a little bit of oil in there just to kind of calm that frothing down. But the other thing is, make sure that you are reading the instructions on the box, because wheat pasta cooks at a different time than rice pasta, than chickpea pasta, than corn pasta. They all have different times. And you're going to want to make sure that you are using the times recommended on the box. Okay, because that will affect the flavor, that will definitely affect the texture. Okay. So thank you, Melissa. That was a fabulous question. Please keep them coming. I love answering questions for all y'all. That is everything that I have for you today. So I am so grateful and honored to be here with you again. And I hope that you have a magnificent weekend. And there I go again. The last masterclass was so successful that I will be hosting another one at this time next week. Okay, so that is the roadmap to gluten freedom. And you can sign up and get more information at roadmapgf.com. So I would love to see you at my masterclass. I think it's going to be super helpful. And so it is specifically for anybody who is either learning how to go gluten-free for the very first time, or if you feel like there's something else that's missing. Like you haven't figured out what you need in order to have a fulfilling life and stay gluten-free at the same time. That's what the masterclass is about. Okay. So once again, you can sign up for that at roadmapgf.com. Roadmap to gluten freedom, roadmapgf.com. And I can't wait to see you there. And I hope that you have a fabulous weekend. I will not be doing a live next week, because instead I will be here. I will be doing the masterclass. Okay. So I will see you all then. Take care. Be well. Have a fabulous Friday. Have a fabulous rest of your weekend. Oh my gosh, happy Halloween for anybody who celebrates. Take care, and I will see you in 2 weeks' time. Okay, bye everybody.